I do recognize some of the things people brought up as flaws, but I gotta say, I don't think they're as damaging or devastating as people make it out to be. So, what is occurring? Well, if you're completely new, Dwayne The Rock Johnson is Black Adam. He's essentially, I guess you want to call it, anti-hero who has these incredible powers bestowed upon him by these wizards. And there's a lengthy prologue going through the back history of Kondak, the city he's kind of tasked with protecting. And he reemerges through Adriana, who is basically searching for a champion because Kondak is being occupied by Intergang. And that's where things kind of start collapsing, but they don't collapse all the way because that is probably the fatal flaw of Black Adam is the villains and the main villain when he emerges is pretty ho-hum. It's very bland, very meh. There's really not much to him. The acting is fine by the actor, but really it's a very simple like I want to make conduct great. I will use crown to make myself a demon thingy. I will be the new champion. And Black Adam is like, no, you are bad. I'm bad too, but I'm not as bad. The main conflict with the antagonist is pretty weak. Luckily, the acting by The Rock is pretty good. People think he's playing himself. He's not. He did a very good job. There's the appropriate smirks or him being sad or happy or joyful when appropriate. Again, it's much more subtle acting than I think people are giving him credit for. It's not that the other actors are doing all the work. No, he's actually doing some good stuff onto himself. I will say the supporting cast in Conduct is a little erratic. I thought the kid was going to be very annoying. I thought he was, for the most part, pretty good. Yeah, he has a little bit of cringe dialogue here and there, but yeah, other than that, I thought he mostly made sense. I do think the Kareem brother, who's used for a lot of comedy, beyond a certain point, they could have trimmed that or just reworked the scenes. Like, he's a good actor. Like, the acting is fine, but there was really no necessity for them to do certain things. Like, okay, now we're just doing some MCU comedy that really didn't make sense. I'm glad that Adriana, who basically releases Black Adam, like in the comics, they're setting it up. Like, yes, technically she's supposed to be his wife. She's Isis. I'm glad they didn't do that. They're already doing a lot. I thought she mostly made sense. I will be honest, I basically forgot her name through most of the film. I kind of remembered Amon, the kid, but so the supporting cast is a little forgettable. They're just doing the plot points. The acting is fine, but the JSA was way more consistent and much better. The only one who really didn't get that much development was Noah. We got a little bit with Cyclone, but obviously the main stars here are Hawkman and Fate, and those were really well played. I was kind of nervous that, yes, there's a bit of a race swap. I'm not going to get into the politics here. So, yeah, he doesn't appear like that in the comics. That's an issue. We can discuss that, but I think he did a pretty good job. Is this the canonical version? I'm not sure. Hawkman is a little complicated. He literally has multiple cannons, so it's not clear which character he's playing. So apparently he's the leader, and I'd be nervous, like, why is Fate taking orders? He's much more powerful, but they do explain it. It's very well communicated. They're old friends, they respect one another. I did feel the catchphrase they kept going back to explain the plot, bad plan better than no plan kind of thing. I was like, okay, that's getting a little weak. They need to do more than that. But the JSA was fine. I thought they were appropriate for the situation. I didn't like Amanda Waller ordering everyone around. That still seems a little weird that she has that much power and authority. But whatever. But the central themes, I think, were spelled out well enough. Yeah, they could have trimmed the dialogue here and there to make it more smooth or organic. The setup was fine. The action scenes were very well done. And yes, it's a little CGI sludge here and there, but not like Endgame. So this is very clear where people are. Like, he's over here, they're over there. So they do respect the intelligence a little bit. So you definitely know he's on the left and the other person's on the right. So they kept some consistency with the CGI, which I appreciated. There were a few things I noticed that were a little strange, like Fate's voiceover was a little strange. I don't know why they modulated the voice so much. Sometimes it was a little hard to hear him, but overall it was fine. They did steal quite a few things from like Iron Man. I noticed like they kept zooming in on Fate's face. Why? I don't know. They're also definitely taking a lot from the X-Men movies. I saw X-Men 1 and 2 in theaters. And I'll admit that X-Men 1, the plot there was pretty empty. Really didn't make any sense. And so they're taking a lot of notes because it definitely felt with The Rock and Hawkman, it's a very similar dynamic to Wolverine and Cyclops. So I definitely noticed they are copy pasting a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. They definitely have their own identity. There's a couple of nods to Kubrick and Kurosawa. I appreciated that as well. So overall, it is a very pleasing action spectacle. But there were a couple of deeper themes that they went into, and they actually did them a lot of justice by thoroughly examining both sides of the question. I did, however, wonder about many things with the plot with the villains. That made no sense. All the twists with the crown and Ismail, they didn't really add much. I know they had to do it, but the creature design at the end when he becomes a full demon, that was very lazy. It wasn't very impressive. I thought the battle was well done, and I thought the way that Hawkman used some of Fate's powers were really interesting. So the twists mostly made sense, but some of them were needless and pointless. They could have cut them down or just worked them into the plot better. Like, if he had to kill himself to get the power, why did he wait for Black Adam? Like, did he need Black Adam's lightning power? Couldn't he just replicate that? The villain plot was very iffy. It just felt very contrived. And Intergang didn't make any sense because if they're occupying Kandok to exploit the natural resources, but then Ismail is from Kandok, then they're not foreign occupiers. Like, why he bother deceiving everyone? Why would he want to fool his own gang? Like, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. So, definitely the antagonist was very weak. The battle was okay at the end. Like, Black Adam, like, just splitting his head was very powerful. And yes, we have the Superman cameo. So, overall, it's a very strong film. Don't believe all these critics that, oh my god, they destroyed the DCEU. No, it's fine. It's fine. I do wish we spent a little bit more time with the JSA. It sounds contradictory, but they really needed one more member because the JSA is not this small. So, given the threat level, it made more sense to add one more member. So, why they didn't do that, I don't know. So, they did a lot in this film. For the most part, it's well done. But yeah, the real standouts are The Rock, Kid, JSA. They mostly were well done, mostly consistent. Wanted more with Hawkman and Fate, but it is what it is. But the villain side, like the action with them is fine, but they really had no personality. They had no real politics. They were just generic baddie people. And the main villain just was like, the acting was fine, but it was just gobbledygook, whatever. So a mostly good film. A few flaws here and there. And you can definitely nitpick certain plot points. But overall, no, very pleased. Paid full price for the ticket. It's a very well done production. Nothing to be ashamed of. A very confident step for the DCEU. Will they screw up the sequel? Maybe. But this was a very good origin story. They got to where they needed to go. It's not a perfect film. It's not one of the best films ever made. It's not even one of the best comic book films ever made, but it's a very solid film. Don't deny yourself. Black Adam is the real deal.